Nostalgic kids of the 1980s will remember the joys and frustrations of creating the perfect mixtape. There was a magical art to lining up songs in the perfect order, with a little math thrown in to ensure the final tracks wouldn't get cut off at the end of each side. Done right, those personal soundtracks carried alchemic power, especially when recorded with a special recipient in mind. Toronto author Claudia Dey's mystical new novel, Heartbreaker, operates like a perfect mixtape, taking familiar tunes and infusing them with the unexpected. Set in 1985, the book slowly unravels the story behind the mysterious disappearance of 15-year-old Pony Darlin Fontaine's mom, Billie Jean, from the territory, the remnants of a former cult settlement on the outskirts of nowhere that still operates on the strict rules of its now-deceased leader. Despite their isolation, the teens of the rural territory still crave the pop culture that's managed to seep into their remote town, even if they have no real-world context for what they desire. Pony has a framed photo of the Cars' chiseled lead singer, Rick Ocasek, in her bedroom, and attempts to whitesnake her body, like Tawny Kitaen, the writhing model in the hair band's video for karaoke favorite, Here I Go Again. Claudia Dey, author of Heartbreaker, HarperCollins, Norman Wong. Heartbreaker, by Claudia Dey, HarperCollins, 272 pages, $22.99. HarperCollins. As a teenager, music represented not just fantasy and escape, but companionship to Dey, who is married to music producer Don Carr, a prolific collaborator best known as drummer for the Rheostatics. Kerr's current band, Communism, will perform at Dey's launch at the Gladstone Hotel on Sept. 18, where she plans on dancing all night. I grew up feeling that books and music were sentient things that would speak back to you, Dey says. You could have an exchange and they wouldn't ask a lot of you. Like, how did David Bowie know exactly how I was feeling, in selecting the songs that would play a leading role in Pony's world as she, her father, a broken, scarred man known as the Heavy, and other members of the territory search for Billie Jean, Dey, straight from her own teen Walkman playlist. Songs like Nazareth's Love Hurts commingle with references to schmaltzy ballads by Air Supply. One section, an intimate exchange between two lovers, relies on a dialogue composed of 80s chart hits. The song titles were about verbal sequencing, Dey says. I'm not a John Cougar Mellencamp fan, but when I put Hurts So Good beside Prince's When Doves Cry, it elevates his song. Dey, also an acclaimed playwright and co-designer of the trendy fashion label Horses Atelier along with fellow author Heidi Sopinka, established herself as a provocative voice with her 2008 debut novel, Stunned. Set in 1980s Parkdale well before the current vegan takeover became a political concern in the West End neighborhood, Stunt was conceived out of a daydream of days in which a young girl in a nightgown walks across a tightrope. Likewise, Heartbreaker began as a vision, this time of a woman, who would become the character Billie Jean, stumbling out of a car dressed in a three-piece white suit. Both books feature a familial disappearance and unlikely narrators. In Heartbreaker, a local teen heartthrob named Supernatural and Billie Jean's devoted dog Jenna, who provides the most devastating reveal of the novel, share narration duties with Pony. Article continued below. It was really intuitive to write the story in 3 pieces. The book could only function with the 3 voices together, says Dey. Working on it, it was like entering and exiting different rooms, depending on what section I was working on. When Billie Jean disappears, they're all witnesses to a crime scene from their own perspectives, depending on what they see and what they know. In Dey's unique vision for the territory, even her beloved Walkman, which she recalls as being a constant appendage through her teen years, is infused with new meaning, as only young women who have lost their virginity are allowed to carry one as an identifier of their status. Dey was relieved to revisit the old, albeit unreliable, tape players of her youth, leaving behind the addictive power of today's iPhones, which she compares to slot machines. I don't know if I'll ever write a contemporary book because I don't like the aesthetic of the time that we live in now, says Dey. I really liked going back to those objects of the 1980s. It felt a lot less robotic, and a lot more human. Sue Carter is the editor of Quill and Choir.